Seek the Sun by Phyllis Gershader. The old sandal maker and his wife lived in a little wooden house on a sunny street in Asakusa, Japan. For 50 years, husband and wife prayed at the great temple nearby. After they prayed, they chose a paper fortune. Before tying it to a tree, alongside the other paper fortunes fluttering in the breeze, they studied it a while. Was it a good fortune or a bad one? Sometimes it was hard to tell. One week their fortune announced, "You will find a way." "Yes, I suppose we will," said the sandal maker. The next week their fortune advised, "Seek the sun each day." "That will be easy," said his wife. "It's springtime, and in the spring the sun always shines." But that spring, in the year 1966, a builder came to measure the empty lot across the street. He was followed by 3 machines and a truckload of men. The men and machines dug a square hole in the ground and drove pilings deep down into the earth. They built walls high up into the sky, 154 feet high. The new building towered above all the other buildings on the block. Now, the sandal maker's small 2-story house stood in the shade of a 9-story building. When the sandal maker and his wife rolled up the bed quilts in the morning, even on a sunny morning, it was still dark and cold in their house. Next door, on the left, the tatami maker's house stood in the shade of the same tall building. The tofu maker's house, on the right, stood in shade too. The building cast such a long shadow, it kept the sun from shining on all the houses in one whole corner of Asakusa. The sandal maker tended to his plants as lovingly as he always had, but his holly tree grew weak in the shade. His tiny bonsai trees stopped bearing fruit. The breezes that once blew gently in Asakusa now whipped around the tall building. The breezes turned into gusts of wind that lifted the sandal maker's wife's skirts when she went outside. The wind tore up her umbrella when it rained. The wind grew so fierce, it spun the dust and dirt into swirling tornadoes, and it even uprooted the sandal maker's precious plants. "You would think a dragon had moved into the neighborhood," he cried. "How can we wrestle with a dragon? How can we seek the sun each day here in the shadow of a tall building?" "We will find a way," said his wife. "Our fortune said so. We will find a way to seek the sun, and our neighbors will help us. We will go to the courthouse and talk to the judge." "Our house is cold all the time," the sandal maker's wife told the judge. "The clothes don't dry. The bed..." "Quilts smell musty. The tatami mats are gathering mold. My sandal shop is dark," said the sandal maker. "I cannot see well enough to work." "The straw for my mats cannot dry and stretch," said the tatami maker. "The wind blowing around the tall building blows my cart away," said the tofu maker. After the judge listened to the townspeople, he listened to the owner of the building. "We do not have enough land, yet we need more space for offices," explained the builder. "We have no place to build on the ground, so we must build up into the sky." "Yes, that is true," said the judge. "When a city prospers, it does need more space to grow. But it is also true that people live in this city." And he asked the builder one question. "Would you like to live in a house without sunlight?" The owner of the tall building bowed his head. "No," he said. "Sunshine," declared the judge, "is essential to a comfortable life. A citizen's right to enjoy the sunshine in his own home must be protected by law." The judge ordered the builder to pay the sandal maker and his neighbors for taking away their sunshine. The judge also ruled that builders could never again build buildings tall enough to block the sun in the narrow streets of Asakusa. The next time the sandal maker and his wife visited the great temple, they offered a prayer and chose a paper fortune. The sandal maker read their fortune out loud. This one says, "Light will fill an empty space." "It sounds like a good fortune," his wife said, tying it to the branch of a cherry tree. "I hope it comes true." When the couple arrived home, the only light to fill their house was lantern light. Yet they were happy in the house where they had lived and worked for 50 years, next door to the shops, the temple they loved, and all their good friends. They were happy knowing they had helped to change the laws. From now on, in neighborhoods like ours, the sandal maker proudly told his friends, buildings taller than 33 feet will not be allowed. One sunny morning, after the old couple visited the temple and watched the birds and tourists coming and going, they saw machines and a truckload of men working in an empty lot nearby. The men and machines were digging a hole. "Oh no, not another tall building," cried the sandal maker's wife. "How can that be?" "They are digging a very small hole," observed the sandal maker. The next day, the hole was filled with water, and the men returned to plant trees, build benches, and lay stone paths. The empty lot had become a park. "Light will fill an empty space," the sandal maker exclaimed. "Our fortune has come true." In the park, the sandal maker's bonsai and holly trees found a new home, and he and his wife found a home away from home, a light-filled space where the bonsai once again bore fruit. School children and frogs hopped among the stones, and colorful koi swam to and fro in the pond, red, white, and gold, beneath the noonday sun. This story was inspired by an actual court case in Japan, brought by an 80-year-old sandal maker, Koji Watanabe, and 3 of his neighbors in Asakusa, an area in Tokyo known for its famous Buddhist temple and traditional old-style neighborhoods. Today in Japan, when tall buildings are constructed, the amount of shadow that can fall on nearby buildings is limited by law. In new homes, the law requires that sunlight shine in a family's living room for a certain number of hours each day.